Good afternoon, folks. If I can ask you to come on close, there's plenty good seats up front. I want to be respectful of everybody's time and leave ample time for questions for those of you who have some. I want to just express my thanks for you being here today, and we're really looking forward to giving an update on the massive project that is underway right behind us. But before we get started, I want to introduce you to some guests that have joined us today. So from the Maryland Transit Administration, I'm just going to ask them to wave when I call them out. The project owner is the MTA, and we have Matt Pollock, who's the executive director. Hi, Matt. Thanks for joining us. We also have from the Maryland Transit Administration, Gary Witherspoon, right? Good to see you there. And Genesis Baez, I got that right? You did. Good. And then from the folks who are actually doing the construction, Javier Devesa, the construction manager, and his the communications person there, whose name I just forgot, but Carlo. You think I would remember that being Carlo Colella. And all of these folks are going to be here at the end of the presentation to answer any difficult questions that come my way. The easy ones I'll take care of myself. In case you don't know me, I'm Carlo Colella, and I'm the Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer here at the university, and really, again, delighted to be with you today. So our agenda is going to go provide a brief overview. I know many of you are versed in the Purple Line, but I don't want to take anything for granted, so we'll provide an overview, and then talk about the project status that's underway. And then, importantly, the impacts and the planning around that. And then, as I said, we'll leave time for questions. So, in a nutshell, what is the Purple Line? It's a 16-mile light rail train system that will connect from New Carrollton on the eastern side of the 16-mile transit corridor through College Park, through Silver Spring, to Bethesda. It's going to be operated by the Maryland Transit Administration, and the system is scheduled to be operational for service in the fall of '26. Light rail projects like this, often the construction is finished sometime in advance to allow all of the training and testing that goes on. So hopefully the construction, the major construction at least, will be finished, and we'll get into some of that detail a little bit later in the presentation, but hopefully the major construction you'll see on the main campus will be finished sooner than that. The project started in 2017, and because of some disputes between contractor MTA, COVID, other issues, the project was delayed a bit, but now, as you can see, if you walked into this building, it's back on track. See what I did there with on track? And the MTA is optimistic about its completion for service in '26. You can see behind me an example. For those of you who've not had the pleasure of being in cities that have light rail, you can see here, this is some video from Portland State University, where light rail has been in service for a number of years. Light rail is very quiet. Maybe not quite as quiet as this video, but pretty quiet. And they're electrically powered. As you can see, there's a catenary above the light rail itself. So unlike the metro system, that's a heavy rail system with a third rail next to the tracks, this is powered overhead. And through our campus, the speed will be limited to 15 miles an hour. One of the things that we worked through with MTA years ago to minimize both vibration and electromagnetic interference that comes from large masses of steel moving through space. If you keep the speed down, that reduces the amount of vibration and electromagnetic interference, also happens to add to the safety. You can see there in the image that the rail in this location is embedded in the roadway itself, and that's the same condition that you'll see on our campus. And there are, I believe, in the United States, as many as 40 systems that are identified as light rail systems. You've got a few images here of some that are in operation. On your left-hand side is the Tucson Sunlink that serves the University of Arizona and the Banner University Medical Center. Portland, we saw just a few minutes ago up in the upper right-hand side, I believe. And then at Minnesota, the Minneapolis-St. Paul light rail runs through the University of Minnesota's East Bank campus. So all of these are in fairly dense, urbanized areas. And for those of you, let me ask a show of hands. Has anybody been to Washington, D.C., 8th Street corridor to see the light rail there? Anybody else? Yeah. So our train is a little bit longer than that, but it's a similar looking train. So when constructed and operational, there's an incredible amount of connectivity that we will have among public train transportation through our region. We're already very well situated as the flagship university within the Washington, D.C. Beltway, and we have pretty good access to the College Park Metro Station. But you can see here sort of an amalgamated image that you'll recognize parts of it from the WMATA heavy rail system with the red line that makes a U shape, and then the green and yellow line that goes through College Park, and then off to your right-hand side, the orange line. So the purple line, as you see, will connect from east to west, 16 miles, 21 stations, and you can then easily get to all 5 of those lines directly from campus. Additionally, there are 3 commuter rail lines that are connected here that you can see in brown. And then finally, Amtrak. So the Northeast Corridor is served by Amtrak through New Carrollton. So the ability to easily jump on the light rail, purple line, and get to other major modes of rail transportation is going to be tremendous. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 21 stations from east to west. 5 of them are located on campus or on campus land or immediately adjacent to it. And you can see here on this satellite image the 5 stations that we identify as closely associated with the University of Maryland. So starting from the left, this is on the western edge of our property at the Adelphi Road intersection along close to the Global Campus and the Marriott is the first of the 5 stations. And then as you traverse to your right, heading east, just outside this building in front of the Driscoll Center will be the next station. And then at the intersection of Baltimore Avenue and Rossborough Lane, near Ritchie Coliseum, will be the 3rd station. The 4th station is coincident with the College Park Metro Station. And then finally, at the eastern edge of our Discovery District in Riverdale Park is the 5th station. So this is a tremendous amount of easy access between these 5 stations. And one of the things that we were able to work out with MTA years ago, is for anyone affiliated with the University of Maryland community to ride among those 5 stations fare-free. So this is going to be tremendously beneficial to our entire community, particularly as we continue to develop areas to the east in the Discovery District. So you can imagine if you have a job there, you want to get back on main campus, it's very easy to hop on and hop off. Or if you're a student who has an internship in the district, easy to jump on light rail, go to the College Park Metro, and then take the green or yellow line into town. People ask, well, why is the light rail right through the middle of the campus? And the simple answer to that is, a great number of alignments were explored for many, many years. And the best practice for transportation is to put the transportation where the people are. And most of our folks are right here through the middle of the campus. And you can see on this image some of the many major buildings along the alignment of the purple line that will be well served from those. And now we're drilling down on the 3 stations between Baltimore Avenue and Adelphi Road. So this is the path that serves the community the best. I mentioned a little bit already about some of the benefits of the light rail system, the free rides. While the Purple Line is being constructed, we also worked with MTA to add a bikeway, a two-direction bikeway, 10-foot wide, on the south side of the Purple Line between Adelphi Road and Baltimore Avenue. So many of you who like to bike, some of you may like to scooter, will realize that our bike infrastructure on campus is not where we would like it to be. And when the Purple Line is constructed, as part of the construction effort, this nearly 1.2-mile bikeway east to west will provide a major bike and scooter and a pathway that will be separated from sidewalks and separated from roadways. So this will be a dedicated bikeway. Yeah, and I mentioned the access to the campus from the surrounding areas being greatly enhanced by the Purple Line when it's operational, as well as being able to support the continued redevelopment in and around the College Park area. Sustainability is, of course, very important to the university community, and the light rail, when it's completed, is estimated to take 17,000 cars off of the roadways, saving 1 million gallons of fuel every year, within the first 20 years of its operation. What it means to the university campus is about 4,000 daily UMD student, employees, and visitor trips. And with this is just part of our sustainability efforts to reduce our impact. Transportation is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, and having light rail will enable us to make significant progress at reducing that impact. The vehicles themselves are very sleek, and actually we were talking just a little bit ahead of the meeting. The vehicles are actually fabricated and sitting in Elmira, New York, and maybe a year away from the first of those vehicles making its way to the test area, not far from the campus. They are a single vehicle, 140 feet in length, and you can see there sort of accordion strips connecting the sort of 5 sections of the vehicle. That's called articulated, and that articulation enables the long vehicle to navigate turns and deal with grade changes. The capacity on board is 431, including 80 seats. The train, it's a very modern train. For those of you who've seen some older style of light rail, rest assured that this is very contemporary train design with low floor for easy boarding. And they'll see in the next image on-vehicle bike storage and easy access for those who are in wheelchairs. So very modern, clean, I'd say very attractive train. Additionally, we're going to have public art at each of the train station, of the light rail stations across the 21 stations and the 5 near campus. And there was the Purple Line, I really applaud their Artist in Transit program that resulted in a series of unique art installations at each of the stations. The rendering you see in front of you, and this gives you a pretty good image, I think, of what it will look like. If you just imagine here that you're, let me just point out the Student Union building that we're in right now is here, so you're on the south side. The Driscoll Center is right here, so we're probably standing in front of St. Mary's Residence Hall. And you can see the roadway, the embedded track in the roadway with the light rail, the overhead cable, which is actually a single catenary. I know that we're going to get a more modern image to show that. Here's the bikeway that I described, and you can see the shelters for the station here in the center of the campus. And as you can see, the shelter itself is very clean and sort of easy to sort of see through. And on the next page, I'll show you some of the images of each of the stations on those 5 locations that I've been talking about. So in the upper left-hand side, this is the station art at the at the western edge where Global Campus and Adelphi Road are. And then here is the station in front of the Driscoll Center, adjacent to the Stamp Union. And then further to the east at the intersection of Baltimore Avenue and Ritchie Coliseum, which you can sort of see in the background, some station art that's shown there. At the College Park Metro, this is the station art, and this is sort of homage to the history, the rich aviation history that is at the College Park Airport, which is nearby. And then finally, at the eastern edge of the Discovery District, this rather modern, abstract piece of art at the far eastern edge. So, you know, very exciting, brings some character to all of the stations, and these are the 5 that are closest to us. So regarding status, mentioned a little bit, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. So as I said, you know, the project got started some years ago, but really was utility relocations and modest amounts of work. And really things started in earnest again over this past winter break. And as you can see now, the MTS, the contractor, is fully mobilized and well underway. Be working pretty heavy. I'll get into some details in just a second, but most of the work in the campus core is projected to be complete by spring of 25. We're working with MTA to try and even improve upon that schedule. The bike path, bikeway that I mentioned will finish shortly thereafter, and then revenue service, which is the term is used when it's available to the public, scheduled for fall of 26. So managing the impacts during construction is a significant responsibility, and we've been working at it very hard for a number of years. In addition to working very closely with MTA and the contractors, we have created 2 leadership groups. So these were created years ago, one that I chair and one that Courtney Brown chairs. The one that I chair we dubbed the Purple Line Executive Oversight Group, and that's the group that sort of at a high level oversees the construction and works to minimize the impact on campus operations. They're also sort of a key group that shares concerns from the community. They hear from different quarters. Courtney's group, the Purple Line Work Group, it's about 30 stakeholders that are sort of spread across the campus, and they deal with lots of the nuts and bolts and day-to-day operational issues. So I'm going to go through a few graphics now that hopefully will clearly depict where things are and what's impacted for the next couple of years. Starting here on this image, so this is an aerial image where, just to orient you, this is the Student Union, what used to be a traffic circle that is no more. The M is now safely relocated into the landscape, and I hope you're enjoying that without the threat of vehicles circling you when you're trying to take your pictures in front of the M. Campus Drive is one way from Regents, which is the north-south road here. It's one way through to in front of Cole Fieldhouse, essentially. It's been in a one-way condition for some time now. What's changed recently is this stretch of roadway between Union Lane and in front of Cole is one way. And then between that location and the Lot 1, Lot Z parking lot, it's closed. We're trying to work, trying to balance minimizing the impact to the campus while at the same time allowing the contractor lots of work areas so they can really progress the work as fast as they can. So this is the condition, as you see here, that will continue through the rest of this spring semester. Part of that was to reconfigure the intersection at the traffic circle. So again, I'll just orient you a little bit. Toll Physics is here, Hornbeck Library and the Geology Building, Simons Hall. So the former traffic circle, Campus Drive, Regents Drive, reconfigured to have a series of stop signs to be able to allow the work to go on because the Purple Line itself will come right through, and I'll show you an image of that in just a little bit. So the Purple Line will come right through this intersection, and we've had to do these detours to allow the work to continue. And it should be in this condition till about September of this year. And then through the rest of the calendar year on the east side of campus, I don't know how many of you spend any time over there now, but near the hotel and Ritchie Coliseum, the section of Rossborough Lane, adjacent to the new Leonardtown community, is closed. Ultimately, the Purple Line will make its way across Rossborough Lane and connect to Campus Drive and continue on the roadway towards the College Park Metro. So this is another 8 months in this condition. Then over the summer, back to main campus, or the core of the campus, where what was Campus Drive one way, we're going to close that entirely between Regents Drive and Union Lane. The section between Union Lane and Cole will be open one way, flip the direction there just for traffic control reasons. And then the condition to the west will continue in its closed condition. So this is just over the summer, really very soon after our commencement, and just ahead of the major move-in that'll happen in mid-August. Also in that time frame, and again to allow the contractor to come in and there's some significant stormwater work that happens in this area. So we're going to close Campus Drive between Paint Branch, which is near the Areve Center, up to Regents Drive. So this section will be closed, so we'll have traffic rerouting and detours around Paint Branch Drive, and then Regents Drive will continue to remain open north and south during the summer. Then when we return after summer, soon after summer, hopefully, this intersection that is, and I apologize that we don't have the same graphic image underlying this, but this is the Campus Drive, Regents Drive intersection. This is where the traffic circle used to be. Here is where the landscaped M currently exists. So you'll see, this is a technical drawing that shows the final road configuration with the purple line that is shaded here. So the purple line will go through that intersection and head down towards Rossborough Lane. And this will be in a condition that ultimately will be signalized with a traffic signal, but that signal will happen later in the project. And in the fall, it'll be, just stop signs, but a more easy to manage traffic movement through this intersection for both vehicles and pedestrians. Right now, the pedestrian detours around this, I don't want to go all the way back, but the pedestrian detours around that intersection we know right now are pretty challenging. And when that work in the intersection is done, we'll have sort of more traditional pedestrian crossings at that intersection. And then in the fall, we'll be back essentially in the core of the campus is the same condition that you see today. With one-way traffic from Regents, this will have been improved on through, and then this section remaining closed. In January, now I'm going to flip back over to the eastern edge. You may recall that we had closed this section. This section of Rossborough Lane is closed right now for construction. As they finish that up, then construction will move into this section. So what will happen here is there's a period in time from about an 11-month period of time where access through Rossborough Lane is not going to be permitted. We have designed and will have constructed a connection between Lot C1 here near the old visitor center to allow moving around this intersection, not going through Rossborough Lane. So the section right behind Turner and between Ritchie and the service building will be closed for that 11-month period of time. All right, so a lot to sort of work around, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the sidewalk closures, which I'm sure everybody in this room has probably already experienced. Just make a couple of points that we work very hard to make sure that all of the detours are ADA accessible, and we develop work plans with the contractor, and those work plans are reviewed with our friends in the accessibility office. But in addition to planning this work, construction is a dynamic activity, so there's a group of folks who monitor on a regular basis to make sure that what we think is an accessible and well-marked pathway remains that way through construction. Also, later on, I'm going to point you to some an email and websites where if you were to learn that something is not how it should be, let us know and we'll get on that right away. But we do take this very, very seriously. We work very hard to provide good signage, good notice, and kind of stay on it day to day to make sure it stays that way. Here are, and we can, these links here, I don't know what we're going to do with the presentation afterwards, if we're going to make it available to the general public or just go to our website. The Purple Wine website that we host has a lot of this information. It's umd.edu/purplewine. And if you have a question, a concern, or observation, you want to heap any praise, the purplewine@umd.edu is an email you can send things to. We also use text alerts, so if you want to be on the text alert system for Purple Wine news affecting the university, you can just text UMD Purple to the number shown here. And then, we put out a lot of communications to try and keep everybody up to speed. And any significant change in activities, we'll send out campus-wide emails, social media posts, Maryland Today articles. We appreciate when the Diamondback also picks up some of this information and spreads the word. It needs a lot of communication channels to keep our community informed. So also Purple Wine, MD.com, this is the Purple Wine site, not the university site. And if you want to stay up to date with information directly from them, you can sign up there, and you can also get text alerts. Some of you may live along the corridor away from College Park, and you can identify what area you're interested in getting information about. Lastly, and while it's not Purple Wine, it's still construction, I want to give you a brief little update on the work that's on Baltimore Avenue. This is and I'll just do a little orientation. So this is Baltimore Avenue. When I was a student here, we called it Route 1, but it's been improved so much, we call it now Baltimore Avenue. It's becoming our main street rather than the highway that separates the university from the community. A reconstruction of this roadway, it's about 1.4 miles from the South Gate up to University Boulevard. And the state has taken on that work sort of in two phases. The southern phase, from South Gate to essentially the bridge over the Paint Branch, has been substantially completed. It's awaiting a few finishing touches, some planting along the median on the south side, and then some work that the Purple Wine is going to do at this intersection with Rossboro. But if you've observed that area now and remember what it was like before, we now have a divided roadway, so left turns are controlled to intersections, so it makes for turning movements to be much safer. We have new pedestrian crosswalks and walkways. We have new pedestrian level lighting. So it's really become quite attractive on this southern edge, and that work is continuing to the north side. So the roadway cross-section will be very similar with divided lanes and improved sidewalks and new pedestrian lighting. The state highway is indicating at this point the scheduled completion is in August of 2023. If you ride around along that roadway, you probably think that's ambitious, and I would agree with you. So, but we're working with State Highway and our friends at Maryland Department of Transportation to bring attention here as well as to the Purple Wine. So with that, I'm going to open it up with Casey. Casey and Courtney are here with microphones. If you've got a question, happy to try and address that. Yes. Yeah, if you just, let Casey get there. There we go.
You're on hold? Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Bridget. I'm with the Diamondback. I just had a quick question about Lot 1 specifically.
Right.
The closure in the center of Lot 1, that's where the crosswalk is, right by Knight Hall. So when you cross the crosswalk, you hit the construction immediately. I was wondering if any talk about setting up another temporary crosswalk so you can get to Lot 1 more easily, because right now students are kind of just jaywalking. Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, and great observation, and very pleased to let you know that some additional crosswalks are being implemented very soon. Actually, I was just out there yesterday and I saw the cones up. And what we're going to do essentially, I don't have a graphic here, but is to create crosswalks through the parking lot on either side of that fencing, so that as you're coming through the parking lot, you'll be intercepted by a crosswalk that will enable you to make a safe connection, accessible connection, well-marked connection to the walkways either at Benjamin or near Coalfield House.
Great.
Not sure that's going to prevent all jaywalking, but at least there'll be a good pathway for those who want to use it. Great question, Bridget. Thank you. Other questions? Professor Bennett, one of the Purple Line champions for many decades now.
Oh, okay. I was going to hold it for you.
You're going to hold it for me?
I was going to hold it for you.
All right.
Afraid you're going to take over the mic. She knows.
Thank you, Carlo, for doing this. My name's Ralph Bennett. I'm president of Purple Line now. We're well into our second decade of advocacy for this process, so be patient. What I want to say is that we publish a bi-weekly newsletter at purplelinenow.com, and we welcome your participation. MTA has been great about organizing information in contact with the communities, but we offer a little supplement using their images frequently and trying to locate hotspots along the line in its entirety. So thank you very much for being here, and I'm done.
Thank you, and I would heartily endorse signing up for that newsletter. It's very informative, and thanks for all your work over the decades to make this one step closer to reality.
Thank you.
Dave? Yeah. Courtney's coming over with a mic so we can, because I think we are also recording this for folks to hear later.
Well, in the completed project, are there pedestrian controls on Campus Drive to start and stop pedestrians to keep the trains on time?
So another great question. In certain areas, there will be barriers like we have currently along Regents Drive and some other locations to direct at the heaviest crossings pedestrians to go to the designated crosswalks. In other areas, that isn't deemed necessary. So like you saw in the video in urban areas, that these sort of coexist, and in the same way that, I mean, they're long vehicles, but not unlike a bus in terms of its movement through. So we have in some areas some channeling of pedestrians. There's no gates or swing arms or anything of that nature in this location.
Thank you.
And I should have mentioned, across the entire 16 miles, almost all of it is at grade intersection, at grade. So in a couple locations, they elevate to cross over a major roadway, or there's a small tunnel section, but by and large, it is at grade with other activity. And I know one of the areas that's really fun to look at is in Silver Spring, downtown Silver Spring, where the train actually goes sort of through the new, relatively new library. So it coexists, and you know, there's a little bit of an adjustment time for people to get used to it, but we think it'll be just fine. There's another question back there. Yes.
Hi, my name is Jessica Perez. I'm from the Health Center. There's one of the images that you showed that most of the Campus Drive is going to be closed, and then you said that the traffic pattern is going to reverse. Are you guys going to notify EMS about the new traffic patterns so that they're aware of how to navigate through campus? I'm just asking because we do call for the ambulance regularly, and I just want to make sure they can get to us in time.
Yes, absolutely. And before we do anything in terms of making traffic changes, we work pretty closely with our public safety officials, with emergency response to make sure that these construction detours, we can still safely get to the places we need to get to. And then there's a communication campaign. There's a bit of a socialization effort that goes on first, and then a communication campaign with some images that go out. And for something like this, we'll probably also, you may notice recently, an example where Union Lane Garage, because of the change in traffic pattern, it used to be that we would load the garage from the upper side and exit on the lower end. But because of the change in accessing the garage, we switched that around, and now there is variable message boards that indicate that. So we'll probably do something along those lines when we make the change for the summer.
Thank you.
Sounds active.
Okay, so one of the points you emphasized was the importance of the Purple Line in UMD's overall sustainability sort of plan for the future. So I was wondering if in that context, are there plans to change parking policy, sort of anticipating something like 4,000 daily trips, vehicle trips displaced by the Purple Line? That's sort of a bunch of parking that we no longer need on campus. So are there plans to sort of commensurate with that?
So already, I think Department of Transportation Services does a lot to encourage bike use, carpooling. We're in a master planning process, campus-wide master planning process, where we're assessing, reassessing, particularly small surface parking lots that are interior to the campus and bring cars into the campus. We have in several instances the sort of major parking facilities on the perimeter, Mowat Lane Garage, Terrapin Trail Garage, and we have a connector bus, the 105, that makes those connections. So as we make more progress and see the ridership, we're going to continue to encourage the use of public transportation or other ways of getting people out of single occupancy vehicle trips to the campus. And I expect that the future will have, to the extent we continue to need parking, which we will, of course, have that be more perimeter with shuttle bus connections from the exterior parking lots into the main campus. Of course, we'll have to continue to have parking for folks who have accessibility issues and deliveries and those sorts of things. But we're definitely looking forward to the Purple Line reducing the parking needs for the campus.
Great, thanks. But in terms of immediate plans, are there?
Well, we have to get through the
it's still sort of
construction period and get it operational. And so, it's close, but we got a little bit of time to work through that. But the master planning effort that's underway right now, that effort is wrapping up in the next year. So you'll see as that gets unfolded, some of the steps that we're already taking. And there are bike lane studies and bike improvement projects that are in process now. So you'll see some of that perhaps sooner than the Purple Line's opening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think Bridget had another question. Oh.
Hi, I'm Paul Keene. I'm a master's student in community planning and a staff member here. And I was just kind of wondering, two questions. The first one is the frequency of the trains,
Right.
And kind of the general hours of operations of the trains. And then the second one was more broad and kind of if there are any plans to update the MARC station to make it ADA compliant.
Yeah, on the operational hours of the Purple Line, as I recall, and there's some folks from MTA here, so if I misstate this, they can jump in. I believe it's scheduled weekdays 5 a.m. to midnight, weekends 7 a.m. to midnight, with At peak travel times, headways, so train every so often at 7.5 minutes during peak hours. And I want to say 10, 12, non-peak, off-peak is like 15 minutes in those hours. And in between, I see Matt shaking his head. Is it 10 or 12? What is the midday?
That I don't know.
Okay, so good thing I didn't put it out there then. But 7.5 during peak, 15 at the quiet hours. In terms of MARC accessibility, I was not aware of that. This isn't a, so I don't have any information there, but MTA also is responsible for MARC, so maybe you can just send a note for that. I didn't realize it was not accessible right now.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I think Bridget and everybody else asks a second question too. So Bridget gets the second question, everybody gets the second question. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you. You mentioned between those 5 local stations that you would like there to be no fare, or you would like to assist UMD community with the fares. I was wondering, have you considered assisting students who use the Purple Line to commute to campus every day with their fare?
Yeah, one of the things that, and we're sort of still working through the details there, but in addition to those 5 stations, between which will be fare-free, to have a discounted fare program beyond those 5 stations for members of the university community. So the exact details of how that will work, we haven't worked through yet, but that is something that we're in conversation with MTA about, so that you can have discounted ridership anywhere along the 16-mile corridor.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank you again for joining us today. I hope this was informative. I really encourage you to check out the website for some more detailed information, sign up for alerts. There is the email address if you have any more specific questions, or just reach out to our office. I'll be happy to try and address that. Again, if you see something during the construction that is concerning to you, please let us know. We work really hard. We've got a lot of folks out there trying to make sure everything is just right, because we want to minimize the impact to the community. So we work very hard, but your eyes will help us do that. So thanks again for your attention, and have a great rest of the day.